Now that we've set up our Word environment and we created our delimited file earlier, it's now time to create our book. So I double click to open the template, and then I click on your book, create book. I can obviously write that in as we discussed before, but I'm going to use the delimited file because it just makes sense. As well as being quicker and easier, it also reduces the chance of error. So then I click on open, and there's my information in my form. Now we'll go to tab number 2, the physical properties, and at the top here we have the option to select the book size. Now depending on what version that you have will depend on what you will see here. But the default option, please select your book size. If you forget to do anything and click create book, it will create a Kindle book for you. Okay, that's the default option, 6 inches by 8 inches. If you do decide to go with the Kindle option, then there's no need to enter the number of pages. This figure here is just to give us an idea of how wide your inside margin has to be. For print books, the more pages that you have, the wider your inside margin needs to be. CreateSpace has brackets for the pages, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know the upper bracket is 600 pages plus is an inside margin of 1 inch, and the minimum page requirement is 24 pages, which is an inside margin of 0.5 of an inch. So if you know the rough size of your book, then enter the pages here. If you don't, then you can always modify it inside the book later on. Then we come down to margins, and then you can set the outside margin, top margin, bottom margin, depending on the size of your book. The minimum for CreateSpace, as I say, is 0.5 inches. If you're going to be using a smaller book, like a 5 by 8 inch book, then you're not going to want a large margin. However, if you come down to something like 8.5 by 11 inches, 0.5 inches at the top of the page isn't a big margin on a page that size. So this will all depend on the size of the page that you require. Once you've set them, I'm going to set 0.75 top and bottom, and then we'll come across to additional pages. Now we can add a testimonials page for you, index of figures, tables and abbreviations, dedication page, appendices, author page and a reference page if you require these. The only one you cannot deselect is a table of contents. You must have a table of contents. That's a requirement for publishing. Now it's not so important as such in a Kindle book, but with CreateSpace you can't publish unless you have a table of contents, so it is essential. If you decide later on you want to take it out of your document, then you can remove it from within the document, but it's going to be set up for you. I'm going to select all options, and then once I've done that, I'll come across here to the approximate number of chapters. Now this is just a rough idea. This is just to put some content in the book when it's first created. And the minimum number of chapters you can have is 1, and the maximum is 100. If you put over 100, then it will put in 100 sample chapters for you. But the thing is, once you've created these, you're probably going to delete these to replace it with your own content or to start typing in anyway. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to select 10 chapters. And if you want to flick back through and see, check everything's okay, and then you click on create book. Because I haven't selected a book size, it will default to Kindle. So it'll just give me a little check message. You didn't select the book size. If you wish to continue with the default Kindle option, click OK. Otherwise, click cancel and select the book size. So if I want to go back, and if I've forgotten something, I can select Kindle from that option if it's available, or I can select another option. But I want my book to be 6 by 9 inches, so I'm going to select 6 by 9 inches for this time round. And then I click create book. And after a half a second or so, my book is created. Once the book is created, the save as dialog will appear. But if I just move this down a little bit and you look at the top of the Word document, you'll actually see that the file has already been saved. One of the problems with people creating new Word documents is that they start working on them straight away and then they forget to save the document. There's a power cut or something and they lose all their work. So we kind of circumvent this by saving the document for you. And this save as dialog actually shows you where it's been saved. So if you want to pick an alternate place and an alternate file name, then you can do so. And as you can see, it saved it with the name, or it saved it with the title of the book plus today's date. Okay. If you want to change this, you can, and you can change where it saves. And all you do is click on save, and that's the book created. Let me just turn these show hide characters off. If you look on the left hand side here, you can see I have my navigation pane, where if I click on abbreviations, I have my index of abbreviations, index of figures, index of tables. There's my table of contents already set up for me, my dedications page, testimonials page ready to be filled out, and then I come up and there I've got my title page and my copyright page. If I come over to the left on the navigation pane, I click on pages, and I can see thumbnails of my document, and I'll just drag that across, and then I can navigate that way. The reason why we have a minimum of 1 chapter is I would like you to read this chapter for the first time. It just shows the formatting that we use within the template, and then once you've read that and you're up to speed with the formatting, then the rest is straightforward. Okay, you can just delete that, which is what I will be doing in a future video. And that's how we set up our book. Very, very easy, very straightforward. And now we're ready to go.